I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. So this week's story comes from when I was a teenager. One of my favorite things to do when I was a teenager was to just go be a mall rat. It wasn't something I did every day, but when we could, we did. Especially me and my best friend, author Ken Lindsay. Author of the Gavin English series and The River Runes. Available at kenlindsaybooks.com. Him and I used to love to go around the mall and just walk around, even though him and I were always broke. In fact, if we usually had any money, it got spent on Chinese food at the food court. However, this particular day, as we were walking around, looking at stuff, we went to a store that has long since been gone from the mall down here, and I've honestly never even seen it at another mall. A store that was called Just Hats. Kind of like a lot of malls now have that store lids, basically the same premise. Never a big store, just a small one in the corner, and as you would imagine, it just sold hats. Hats of all different kinds. Hats for movies, hats for TV shows, hats for comic book characters, hats for sports teams, what have you, but just hats. Now here's the thing, I was really young at the time, like 16, 17 years old. So at this point I'd worked in customer service, like I'd worked at a McDonald's and stuff like that, but at the time, unless you were 18 or older, which I wasn't yet, you didn't really work in retail itself. Nowadays, they'll hire minors for just about anything, but back then, retailers would not hire a minor. So I never worked in one, which shows that the stupid crap customers say has irritated me all the way since back then. Because as you can imagine, with a name like Just Hats, the most obvious joke you could possibly come up with would be, "So, you guys got anything other than hats?" That kind of joke that everybody thinks about. Like, I thought it too. Oh, it's just hats. Wonder if they have anything other than hats. But you know what I did? I kept it in here. Because here's the thing. Even though I don't often wait that long for something to come in here and then come out here, that one was so obvious that I didn't even need to think about it to go, nah, don't say that. It's too obvious. But apparently a lot of people don't have that issue. Not to mention, I've mentioned in other videos that I can't stand it from the moment I heard it, hearing people make those kinds of jokes. Things along the line of something doesn't ring up on the first try and they have to go, well, it's free. Or walking in and going, you guys working hard or hardly working? Ken and I were in there looking around at all the hats, and this guy walks in who is just desperate to be funny. Like, the first thing he does when he walks in is he goes, "Oh my! An entire store of hats! What'll they think of next?" I don't know, maybe a store that sells books about jokes because you desperately need it. And even things that were just, like, boggling my mind. Because remember, this wasn't a big store. It was like a store that was in the corner. So you can't help but hear him as he's saying stupid things like, "They even have soldier hats." Now, of course, as soon as I heard him say that, something popped into my head. But I suppressed it. I didn't say it. I was proud of myself, but now looking back, I'm not. Ken tried to suppress it, but couldn't. When under his breath, but loud enough for the guy to hear, said, "Yeah, most of us call that a helmet." Like I said, he couldn't help himself. He looked over at me and I was just like, "Don't look at me, I will laugh." So that guy then just kind of looked around in quiet, because he's been called out on his stupid, which some people do ask that. Why do I always have to say something? Why can't I just let it go? Because when you let it go, they keep saying stupid things. Now, when you point out to them that they are stupid, they don't always stop, but it's the best chance you got. But then, I did eventually buy the hat. It was a Batman hat. I had it for many years. I don't still have that particular hat, but I still have a Batman hat. And we go to check out, but this guy, though, had to get up to the register before us, which was even more annoying because he had nothing to buy. Nothing. He just had to go up there and ask that obvious question of, "So, you guys got anything other than hats?" Now here's the thing. I didn't say anything when he came in, overacted his surprise about the fact that there's an entire store dedicated to selling hats. I didn't say anything when he called it a soldier hat instead of a helmet. But I have my limits. He made the most obvious joke you could possibly make in a store called Just Hats. So as soon as that came out of his mouth, this is what came out of my mouth. I'll do the sequence for you.
So, you guys got anything other than hats?
God, I want to punch you! Now, I'd love to give you a great grandiose story about how him and I went outside and had a tussle, but no, he just turned around, gave me a dirty look, as if to say, like, wow, you're going to really point out that I'm stupid? And I gave him a look back that said, that's exactly what I'm going to do, is point out that you're stupid. And then he left, and as I went to buy my hat, I couldn't help but ask the cashier, how often do you hear that joke? All day. Every day. And I even said to him, like, man, I don't know if I could ever do that. If I ever had to work in a place where I had to hear people constantly making the same stupid, asinine jokes every single day, all day, I'd have to kill myself. 20 years of working in retail later, I'm amazed I haven't. So there you have it. That's my story video this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications when I post my videos, and leave a comment. Tell me if you relate to having to listen to the same stupid, obvious joke all day, every day. Love you guys.